Nobody told me what the gate was. That isn't quite true. They told me plenty. The standard briefing. The 3-page memo every colony worker got on arrival. The laminated hazard card pinned to the equipment bay wall. Do not approach the Holdgate structure unaccompanied. Do not attempt to make physical contact with the surface. Report any change in ambient readings to Station Commander Brask. I went back to tallying freight manifests, and forgot about it the way you forget about most things that don't concern you. The Holdgate stands at the far end of the Karath Reach Plateau, set into the cliff face where the basalt drops clean to the lowlands. An arch, black stone, the same black as the cliff, so that if you didn't know to look, you might walk past it in the mist, and think it was just a shadow. A fold in the rock, no seam at the top, no hinge, no handle or mechanism that any survey crew had ever identified in 40 years of trying. It simply stood there, closed, radiating nothing on any instrument band anyone thought to point at it. 9,000 years, by the core dating. 9,000 years of standing in the plateau wind, and refusing everyone who came. They came in numbers, over the decades. Specialists in ancient structure xenoarchaeology, teams with contact resonance arrays, a linguist from the Karath Institute who spent 18 months cataloging surface microglyphs too shallow to photograph, pressing polymer sheets against the arch to lift impressions. One man, I met him briefly, the year before he transferred off station, who claimed to have heard the stone breathe when the temperature dropped, below -20. Station Commander Brask had him assessed. He left quietly. None of them opened it. I wasn't trying to open it. That's the part people get wrong, afterward. They reconstruct a story where I had a purpose, where I went out there knowing something, or suspecting something, where the gate recognized some quality in me that I had cultivated or earned. It is a better story than the one that actually happened. The one that actually happened is this. I was doing my weekly circuit of the plateau perimeter, checking the weather monitoring posts for ice rime buildup on the sensor heads, and I took the longer route because the wind had turned, and it was easier walking with it at my back than fighting it head-on. That put me past the Holdgate at roughly the same time it always did, because I always took the longer route when the wind turned, because my mother had shown me that route when she trained me in my first year here, and she had learned it from the man who trained her, and so on. Not because of anything mystical. Because the stone is interesting. Because in 9 years of weekly circuits, I have never once walked past the tomb Holdgate without looking at it for a moment. The way you look at a thing that refuses to explain itself. A professional habit, maybe. Or just the stubbornness that keeps a person at a supply station on the edge of nowhere for 9 years. I set my tool bag down. I pulled off my outer glove, my right hand, because the sensor head I'd just cleaned had left a smear of sealant on my palm, and I wanted to wipe it on the inner liner, and while I was doing that, I placed my bare hand flat against the stone to steady myself against the wind. It was the wrong hand. I mean, I had been carrying the bag in my left, and working with my right, and my right palm was the one with the sealant, and so my right hand went to the stone without any thought at all. Just balance. Just the ordinary mechanics of standing on a windy plateau with both hands occupied. The stone was warm. Not warm the way a sun-heated rock is warm. Warm the way a room is warm when someone has just been in it. I stood there with my bare palm flat against the surface, and felt something that I do not have an adequate word for. Not heat, exactly. More like being recognized. More like the moment a person you have known a long time says your name in a dark room, and you know them by the sound. I did not move. For 10 seconds, maybe 15, I stood absolutely still. The wind went past me. The basalt plain stretched away in every direction, gray and permanent and empty. The gate hummed against my palm. It is the only word. It hummed, very low, below the register where sound becomes sensation, and I felt it from my palm up through my arm to my sternum, and something in my sternum answered it, the way a string answers a note struck near it. Then the seam appeared. No warning. No mechanism sequence. No grinding of ancient parts. A line of violet light came into existence at the gate's center, top to bottom, and widened as I watched. Not like a door swinging open, but like a wound reopening. Like something that had been held shut for a very long time, was finally releasing the breath it had held. The stone did not move. The light came through it. It grew from a line to a gap, to a width I could walk through. And the light was not a light from somewhere beyond. It was the gate itself, luminous, the whole arch blazing cold violet against the gray morning, and the warmth under my palm became something I had no word for at all. That was all. Just that. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, the way bone conduction sound comes from inside your own skull, and I felt it in my sternum and my jaw and the back of my teeth. The way you say a name to a person who has been away a long time and has finally come through the door. and with a weight in it that I will spend the rest of my life unpacking. In the way you understand things that arrive too large for your mind to fully enter, that I had pressed this palm against this stone once before. Not in this life, not with this body, but somewhere in what I was, the deepest architecture of what I had been made from, generations back. Before memory, before language, before any record this station's archives could touch, I had stood here and built this gate, and I had sealed it with my own hands, and I had walked away promising to return. I want to tell you I fell to my knees. I want to tell you I wept, or spoke the right words, or had some response proportionate to what was happening. I did none of those things. I stood with my bare palm against warm black stone, the violet light wide around me, the wind moving past as if nothing had changed, and I thought, of course. Not with amazement. With the quiet recognition of a person who finds a thing they had forgotten they lost, and finds it exactly where they left it. That is the part of the story I cannot explain to anyone's satisfaction. They want the revelation to have unmade me. They want the cosmic weight of 9,000 years to have broken something open in my chest. Maybe it did. Maybe the breaking was too quiet to see. I took my hand from the stone. The light held. The gate stayed open. Then I finished my circuit and went back to the station and filed an incident report with Station Commander Brask, who read it 3 times before he picked up his comm. They sent specialists again, a new team, with new instruments. None of them could make the stone hum. None of them felt the warmth. The gate stayed open for them. I think it was done being closed, but it did not speak again. It had said what it needed to say. Returned at last. I still do my weekly circuit. I still take the longer route when the wind turns. I still stop at the gate and look at it for a moment. The way you look at a thing that has stopped refusing to explain itself and is now, simply, waiting for you to be ready to understand. I don't know when I will be ready. 9,000 years is a long time to wait for someone to come home. I figure I can afford to take the understanding slowly.